Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. It is Dr. Kelly OMD, and I am excited to be here with you on this beautiful Saturday morning. I am here to share with you a couple of things that are really fun and important because, as we know, telehealth is here to stay. So, we talked about in the last week things that we need to do to make sure that we are going to be able to what? Keep up with telehealth. Telehealth, virtual health, your medicine is in your hands now. So, what does that mean? That means you need to get ready, get ready, get ready. And if you are not ready, Dr. Kelly Elmore is here to give you the tools. So, like DJ Khaled said, I got the keys. I got the tools. And these tools are going to be here for a very long time. And like any tech, they're going to upgrade, they're going to improve, but we have options for you that are at different levels of your financial, let's see where you are financially. And so it means that you do not have to buy the most expensive things, but you should buy things that are approved to be utilized by our FDA, most importantly. And if you don't believe in that, then go out and buy your tools and calibrate them yourselves, or just decide to create it on your own and then put your name on it. How about that? So you are here with Dr. Kelly OMD. We are about to talk about the tools. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is just a little box. I created it, and in your box, and this is a Vivalife Health box. It is not for sale. I am not branding any specific item at this time. However, it's always fun to open a box. Why not? Anyway, so let's get started. So your box comes in the mail and you are excited, or you go to the store. So people ask me, where can I get these things? You can go online, or you can go to your local drugstore, or even your local shopping store. So you can get these at a lot of different places. Right now, I know a lot of things are closed, so that's why I talk about online a lot. So anyways, we're gonna open this box, and in this box, let's see what we have. We've talked about this, a blood pressure cuff. Yes, a blood pressure cuff. This is so important. Good morning, Coach Wheeler. Good morning, Coltrane. This is so important. So this is a blood pressure cuff, and we're gonna go ahead and show you what it does. This one is a Microlife. And whatever one you choose to buy, just make sure you calibrate it with your physician's office or at the drugstore. And as you can see on here, it actually gives you a color code. So this color code is red, yellow, and green. Why? Because can anybody tell me what level of blood pressure is considered high? I'm just going to leave that there for you because I know that you will be able to tell me. Anyways, this will tell you just by a color code what it is. So you have a color code, you have a power button, you have a memory button, that's what the M is for. You also have where you can change the time and the date so you'll know exactly what it is. I recommend that everyone in their home has a blood pressure cuff. Now, the nice thing about this blood pressure cuff is if you look on the side, you have the numbers 1 or 2. And then if you look on this side, you have 1 or 3. You also have the opportunity to put batteries in this, as well as you can use a DC cord so you can plug it into the wall. And there's also a USB. You know what the USB is for? So you can download the information and send it to who? Dr. Elmore, or your favorite trusty primary care physician or primary care provider. So the other thing that it's going to come with is it's going to come with an attachment. So this can go on your arm, and the attachment is going to show you how to put it on your arm. Really important thing. It tells you right here, this is for a medium to large size arm. So, and it tells you what the circumference is for that arm. So for me, I typically use a small or a medium size. And I'm just gonna take my coat off, or at least take an arm out of my coat. How about that? I'm gonna take an arm out of my coat and show you how easy this is, or just take the whole thing off, why not? I'm going to show you how easy it is to go ahead and put this on for yourself. Latex free, and it has further instructions here because it tells you where you should put your arm. So you should put your arm in here and make sure your artery, this little bullseye, is over your artery. So put my arm in here. Look how easy this is. And wrap it around, okay? And you can also see in here there's a little green line. So as long as this little green area is over the green line right here, then you are the right size for your arm. I mean, they can't make it any easier than this. So I do this for my mom every morning, and almost every morning and every evening, but she can do it for herself as well. Now, if you have a disability or inability to be able to do something like that, then we can figure out another way. And I have another tool for you that can help you as well. So what we do is, it tells me it is 7:08 in the morning, and what we're going to do is we're just going to press. So one of the things, when you take your blood pressure, and this is for when you go to the office, or if you are taking your blood pressure at home, you want to make sure that you are sitting down. You want to make sure that your feet are flat on the ground. You also want to make sure that you have rested for a couple of minutes before you've taken your blood pressure. It is also a good thing to actually take your blood pressure on each side. So if you wanted to use this just for yourself, you can put the number 1 on, to say, the right side, right arm, and the number 2 on the left arm. You should not have a significant difference in your blood pressure. If you do, then you need to contact your primary care provider, because there could be something going on disease-wise in your body that's causing that change. So, and going back, the other thing is, you technically do not want to talk while your blood pressure is being done, and you want your blood pressure cuff to be at the level of your heart. So sometimes you see a machine and it'll have your arm up kind of like this, or sometimes they'll ask you to do like this if you're doing a wrist blood pressure, and we're gonna get to that. Anyways, so I feel like this is pretty much at the level of my heart. I also know what my blood pressure pretty much is because I take it on a regular basis. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna press the power button. So the power button is gonna turn it on. It's gonna say okay, and it's going to start taking your blood pressure. And I'm going to be quiet just for a second. And just like that, it's done. So my blood pressure this morning is 108/74, which for me is a little bit high. So it's probably because I've been talking and I'm a little nervous about being on live, but that's okay because that blood pressure number is very good. And the other thing, so you can see the number, and the other thing you will see is this little arrow, and this little arrow is pointing into the green, and the green is telling me that my blood pressure is good. The other thing it's going to tell you, and I know it's backwards, it's going to give you your heart rate. So we want to make sure our heart rate is good as well. And then it tells me what time it was done and number 1. So I have it on the number 1 person, and I know this is a shadow, but it tells me number 1. So awesome. How about that? So now we've taken our blood pressure. So you should take your blood pressure first thing in the morning before you get up, have your coffee. Do not do all of that. We want you to be at rest. And then you should probably take it in the evening as well, especially if you take blood pressure medications. If you take blood pressure medications, we want to make sure that your blood pressure medications are working. So I like to take blood pressures before we take a blood pressure medication. And then I also like to take blood pressure after we take it. And that can be towards the end of the day as well. We want your blood pressure, I'm not sure if anybody remembers, less than 130/80. It used to be 140/90. No more. That's not what we're doing anymore. We want it less than 130/80. And the reason why is because that is what we call, if it's greater than 130/80, stage 1 hypertension. So we don't want to be in stage 1, 2, or 3. We want to be less than that. We want to be less than 130/80. And we all know how to do that. And if you don't, please let me know, because you can contact me and we will talk about that. Alrighty. Another thing, especially in the pandemic, I've been telling all of my friends about this. This is called an SpO2 monitor, okay? And basically what you do, it has a little battery in it. And what you do is you put your finger in here. So I'm going to turn it on. And the question is, do I have my battery? So I've turned it on. And essentially what it does is it tells me whether or not my oxygen status is good, okay? The important thing about these, you should not have nail polish on because it can't read, the infrared can't read through your nails if it does. So there's other options to have ones for ears, but really you shouldn't have nail polish on when you take one of these. And what it'll do is it shows you as you breathe in and out. Make sure you take deep breaths. It will tell you what your pulse rate is as well as what your SpO2 is. And you want your SpO2 to be above 92%. Now, it would be even better if it's above 95% or it's at 99%. Yes, that's even better. But if you know what your basis is and you are below that basis, then we need to make sure that you talk to your primary care and find out why your oxygen status is so low. Especially during this pandemic, this is one of the things that we need to be aware of. What is our oxygenation status? And the same thing, if you have asthma, if you have any type of respiratory disease like COPD, you need to know what your oxygenation status is. Why? Why is oxygen so important to us? Well, it is what makes our body stay healthy. And we need oxygen to our brain. We need oxygen in our blood so our blood can flow around and give oxygen to our tissue. Good morning, Dr. Carson. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are talking about tools. We got the tools, so that you can keep up with the telemedicine that you so very deserve, the virtual healthcare that your doctors are offering you. And I'm Dr. Kelly OMD, here to help you with that. So first, we talked about having a home blood pressure cuff. And I like these. Although it doesn't give me direct information as your provider, I like these because everybody in the family can use them. So that's really important because I think every household should have their own blood pressure cuff and it needs to be calibrated. The next thing we talked about is our SpO2 monitor. And like I said, I am not promoting any one or another, but FDA approved is a great idea. And what this does is it tells me how much oxygen is going around in your body. And that's a great thing because then we know that you are well oxygenated. And if you're not, you can call your primary provider. And the next thing we have, so you can see I'm wearing a watch right here. The next thing we have is a watch that actually has the ability to take your blood pressure in the watch. So this is very interesting and important. So technically to take a blood pressure, you have to have something that goes either around your wrist or around your arm and squeezes it, okay? Interesting thing about this watch, which I have not found that it's FDA approved, but I like it because I have my own home blood pressure cuff and I have this watch and it allows me to, on the go, know what my blood pressure is. So this is also nice because I'm giving one of these to my mommy and she is not able to utilize the home blood pressure cuff very easily, but at any time I can see what her blood pressure is throughout the day, and so can she. So we're going to talk about that. So I already took one off the box. So this is what it looks like coming out the box, all right? It's not a Fitbit, but it looks like a Fitbit. And the important thing when you look at the watches, it is very important for you to understand whether or not this is just taking your heart rate, if this is taking your this is taking your blood pressure, okay? So this one states it takes your blood pressure, and I've actually been wearing it for the last week, and it has been pretty much spot on with my blood pressure. And what I like about it is you just swipe your finger over it, and I'm not sure if you can see it, and it allows me to, it records my runs, as well as it tells me what time of day it is. And it tells me how many steps I've done and how far. And then if you can see this little bitty thing back here, it tells me what my blood pressure is. So just to let you know how you charge this. So you put it on your arm, and when you take it off, you just pull this little piece apart, okay? You put it in the little cube, You put the cube in your, what are we trying to say? In your electric outlet, and then you charge it. Okay, so easy peasy charge. Awesome. And then what you do is you go to your handy dandy phone. Now I know a lot of people say people don't have phones and people can't afford that. Guess what? If you can get your nails done, if you can get your hair done, you can afford these things. You know why? Because all of this is less than $100. Yes. And it will last you for many, many years. So you use it over and over again and you get your money back in some way, shape, or form or another. So this watch, awesome. So this watch is $20. I got it off of Amazon. Okay, $20. Thank you, Dr. Leticia Carson, for asking that question. Now there's other watches that are $100 and there's other watches that are $500. It is up to you what you would like to spend on them. But the important thing, like I said, the FDA approved watches actually squeeze something. So either your arm or your wrist, and those are going to be more expensive. So that's like the $400 one. This here does not squeeze, but I've been comparing it to my blood pressure cuff that does squeeze, and this cost me $20. So I like it. And it makes it affordable, and we can always talk about, okay, let's calibrate that. Let's see what's going on with that. So the other thing you're going to need in the digital health life is you're going to need a cell phone that has Wi-Fi. Okay, it doesn't have to have network. It just needs Wi-Fi. And what we're going to do, of course, turn it on. And you're going to need to download an app. So you're either going to go to your Android store or you're going to go to your Apple store. And I'm going to show you the apps that I have on here. So I'm not sure if you can see it. I have Dr. Enshanta Jenkins, who has her own app called Elocal. And so you can go and download that. The other app I have on here actually goes with the watch, and that's called the H-Band. And every system has its own downloadable app. And then the other download system I have is something called Hilo, which is another wonderful primary care here in San Diego. That's my mommy's doctor. So that's the app that they use. So for the H-Band, we're going to go into that. And the thing I like about it, I'm not sure if you knew or know that for a lot of these devices, they work on kind of like an infrared. So you'll see a color flashing in the back. And if you see in the back of this watch right here, that's what that is. And then my other watch here, you can see it when it goes on your skin, it flashes green. Okay. So this is important because people of color are different shades. And if we're a different shade, that means that some of these devices may or may not work for you. And this is very important because that would be a disparity in care, wouldn't it? Yes, that would be a disparity in care. So we need to minimize those things. So for my techies out there, when you're creating things, I'm going to need you to trial these on people of different shades of brown. And the reason why is because we need it to work for us too. So I'm in this app here, and I know it's hard to see because of all of the reflections, but I'm in the app on the phone. And I want you to know that this app is very smart. And when you log into it, it shows you shades of skin color. Tell me that is not awesome. The reason why this is important because when I set up my watch for myself, I put my shade in there and I took my blood pressures. But when I put it on my spouse or my mother, who are different shades of brown than I am, then it did not work as effectively for them. So, number one, it tells you that you can't switch this between different people of different shades because it's probably not going to work. And so, number two, that means you have to buy more than one. But it is what it is. If you're going to be wearing it every day, everybody can't wear it every day, right? No. So, make sure you choose the correct shade on this as well. It's going to also ask you if you want to do your blood pressure manually, meaning from this watch. So essentially you press it, you tell it to take your blood pressure, and then it takes your blood pressure, or do you want to do it automatically? So the one that I did, the one I have, I do it automatically, and it tells me every hour what my blood pressure is, even when I'm sleeping, as long as I'm wearing the watch. So I think that is an amazing thing. The other thing for these watches, it'll show you how much time you are sleeping, because how much time should we sleep? I'm going to let you put that into the inbox or the comment box. How much time, how many hours should we sleep a night? That's the question. The other thing is it'll tell you what your heart rate is, and it will tell you for the women when you are cycling. So if you put in the information about your menstrual cycle, so when did you have your first day of your period, and when do you feel like you're ovulating, which is based on how you're feeling, some changes that are going on. That's a whole nother conversation that we will talk about with our telehealth tools. And it will also give you your blood pressure. So in here, it gives you your blood pressure, and then it gives you tracking. Yes. So 8 or more hours of sleep is what you're supposed to get a night. So 8 to 9 is what they say. Okay. And for many of us professional providers, sometimes it's 6 to 8. And if you're on call, it might be less than that. But I want you to make it a goal, which means that you're going to look at your tele tool and you are going to take the time to get enough rest. Yes, because when we're rested, that means that we are present in our mind, body, and spirit. And we can have all the energy that we need when we're rested. So back to the watch, back to the app. So yes, back to the app and the watch. Yes, it is. It will tell you sleep hours. It will tell you how much you're moving. It will encourage you to move. It will also to do your blood pressure, as well as it will tell you your heart rate. So all great things. But each watch or teletool, I like to call them teletool now. Let's just go ahead and do that. I'm not sure if anybody trademarked, but if it's behind there, TM, teletool. And we're going to go from there. So that's good. So what did we talk about today? Does anybody remember? We talked about having your own blood pressure cuff and have one for the house. So people are like, well, it's kind of expensive. I just went to a housewarming online with my friend for her housewarming. So it was a virtual housewarming. You know what? I have sent blood pressure cuffs to my friends for their housewarming. It's for the whole family. The other thing we talked about is our SpO2 monitor. Okay. And this tells me how much oxygen you have in your system. The other thing we talked about is a blood pressure cuff. So that goes on your watch, and very nice because you can follow along with a family member or you can do it for yourself. Now, let's talk about apps. It's going to get pretty overwhelming. You know why? Because everybody is going to have their own telehealth app that they're using. We have not all gotten on the same system, and that's just because there's so many different systems out there. For providers, there are systems out there that are almost free. And if you want to find out what those are, please contact me. There's also some systems that have been almost free, and now they're adding the video portion to it. So patience. You want to ask your provider, do you have your own telehealth platform? Is this HIPAA compliant? And how do I download it? And are you going to communicate with me? So you need a platform. It should be HIPAA compliant. And yes, you should be able to communicate with your provider. So when we talk about communicating with our provider, if it's an emergency, the communication is 911 or go to the emergent room or urgent room, okay? If it is not an emergency, then send me an email through our secure message. This is amazing. So now they have secure messaging, they have secure texting. People are going to do a different thing with whatever works best for them. Good morning, Global Taylor. Good morning, Matthew. People are going to do what's best for them in their practice and based on the personnel that they have. However, providers' offices are getting trained up to do this because in order to survive in this world these days, you have got to be on virtual health. It is what it is. And us as brown people who love our phones and social media, then guess what? Get with it. Yay! So for those of you who are just joining us, this is Dr. Kelly OMD. We are talking about our tele-tools. So just like DJ Khaled says, I got the keys. Yes, Dr. Elmore has the tools to make sure that you keep up? Yes, keep up with virtual healthcare and your own healthcare. Healthcare is now in your hands. So we're talking about our teletools as far as our apps and our phones. So all the information that I discussed today, your blood pressure, your O2 monitoring. The last thing I wanted to mention to you is you have to have, excuse me, a scale. A scale, okay? This is a weight scale. If you do nothing else, if you give anybody anything else, it is to get them a blood pressure cuff, an O2 monitor, and a weight scale. The reason why is because we want to know how much we weigh. Why is weight important? Based on your height, based on your weight, that will give you your BMI. And your BMI is a range. And if you have an elevated BMI, that means you have elevated risk of having healthcare complications. And we want you to be within a certain range, okay? I understand we have people that are big boned or thin framed and all those wonderful things. I don't care about the frame and I don't care about the bones, but I do care about the fat. And if there's excess fat, that means you have increased likelihood of having cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, hypertension, and arthritis, and many other wonderful things. Hypercholesterol, and we don't want that. So you can be big boned, you can be thick, but as long as it's muscle and not fat, we're on a good page. Yay. Okay, so let's get with it. Anyways, so in the app, and download the app for your provider, you will be allowed and able to transmit all this information to your provider. And this will be wonderful. You know why? Because then we can be on the same page. And then what between the visits that we're having that can be virtual, which means that we are online just like this, talking to each other on a HIPAA compliant platform, or we could be face to face. And between those visits, we can be monitoring what is going on with you, and you can be monitoring that, because you know, if you have something that pops up on your watch that tells you that your blood pressure is what? Greater than 140 over 90? What? Greater than 130 over 80? What am I doing? If I'm on antihypertensive, did I take my blood pressure medication today? Did I take my blood pressure medication today? And if I'm not on any blood pressure medications, what's going on? Am I stressed out? Am I internalizing negative things? Did I just finish a run? What's going on? What I've noticed is even when I run, my blood pressure still looks good. So that can't be an excuse. So we want to be able to transmit that information. And the other thing we want to do is we want to be able to communicate. Now you're going to be able to make appointments online from the app. Okay. A good app allows you to make appointments online. The other thing is it allows you to communicate with your nurse, who will communicate with your doctor. And this is a great thing. You know why? Because our nurses are extremely educated and extremely well prepared to be able to answer questions that the nurse and the physician have already sat down and talked about. So you can get response even faster. And then if they need to, they can set you up with an appointment to talk with your doctor virtually, just like we're doing right now, or face to face. Okay. So these are all important things. Now, I want to let you know that healthcare, virtual healthcare, is not only a primary care thing. It can also be an obstetrical thing. And this is moving in a whole new direction for a lot of people. Many larger organizations have already gone to this, but there are times, as long as you can feel your baby move, and if you have your blood pressure, you have your weight, and you have your O2 monitor, then we can have a virtual conversation between times. So most people will go to the OBGYN for obstetric care probably 8 to 12 times based on research. And we found that it can actually be just as effective, just as healthy if you see the OBGYN 6 to 8 times. That's physically seeing them. But then what we're also finding out is between times, the virtual healthcare can actually subsidize and support your obstetric care. So I would start asking your OB provider, what can we do telehealth? Yay? Absolutely. So these are the things that we have talked about today. I have shown you a couple of tools. So you have the tools now so that you can have the key to keep up and move forward with your healthcare. And the way we're going to do that is to substitute, subsidize, and use the support of telehealth. I hope you have a wonderful, prosperous, and excellent weekend. And don't forget to do what? Viva life, of course. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to be online for the next, 30 seconds. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Anybody have any questions? Thanks for the hearts. I truly appreciate it. I'm Dr. Kelly OMD. You can find me on Instagram, Dr. Kelly OMD. You can find me at Vivalife Health Hub on Instagram. Thank you, Coltrane. Thank you, Dr. Carson. You can also find me on Facebook, Viva Life Health Hub. And if you want to join my personal group, Viva Life Health Hub Education Group, that is where we really get down. So we get down with all the evidence-based medicine. We get down with the best providers that I know of. We also get down with the exercise programs that we need to do. We also talk about nutrition and the healthy foods that we're eating. I'm letting you guys know right now, I'm actually on my 21-day get right, get it tight method of eating. The reason why is because, yes, just like you in COVID, I let things slip a little, but it's okay. We're going to get back. The one thing I can tell you is my blood pressure didn't go up and neither did my cholesterol. And those are important metrics that we can follow. So those are all the things. Let's see. I'm getting all the great jobs, the YouTube. So I guess nobody has questions. You know how to reach me. DM me, call me. It's all online. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to smile. Viva life. Bye.